All right, well, Brendan, welcome. Let's start off. First things first, happy anniversary.
Thank you.
It's funny, you've been called a lot of things over the years. I've heard feisty, warrior, gritty, heart and soul leader. I'm sure there's a few things you've been told on the ice that you can't repeat here. But we have a new one to add to the list, 10-year NHL veteran, Brendan Gallagher.
Okay.
How does it feel to hear that?
Well, it feels good. I mean, it's obviously not done yet, but I think, when you're a young kid, you just want to make the National Hockey League, and you don't really care where, and you don't really care how. But for me, couldn't be more fortunate to be in the situation I've been in here in, a team as historic as Montreal, but the city and the fans have treated me so well, treated my family so well, and nothing but positive memories, and then hopefully we can create a lot more.
Do you feel like it's been 10 years? Does it feel like it's flown by?
Yeah, I mean, it's every once in a while I walk through the room and I look at some of the teams and the teammates that I had, and I played with that guy, I played with that guy. There's been a lot of teammates come through here, but it's each year has been fun. Each year has been a different little experience for me in my career, and I'm definitely enjoying it. It's like I said, it's just a special city and a special team to be a part of, and couldn't have been more fortunate to have been selected here.
I know 10 years is a long time to have memories and have specific things to come up. So I figured we'd start. We're going to crank the nostalgia up here to 10.
Can't wait.
Get you in full nostalgia mode.
Okay.
So we've got some memories. There's 10 moments, memories, photos, whatever. Okay. So you can swipe through here. Okay. And we'll kind of go through them. So I'll turn on when you go. You'll turn on the volume just so that you can also hear it.
Do I have to show or?
No, we'll put it.
Okay.
So you turn on the volume here.
Okay.
Do you know what this is?
So this is my first goal.
You knew right away.
You never forget your first. I don't know what the defenseman was doing playing it, but Chucky made an unbelievable pass, and I had the easy job. So it was, pretty special. It was on Martin Brodeur.
Is that like a point of pride to score on Marty?
It is. He was my favorite goalie growing up. Fun fact, we actually share a birthday. But yeah, he's, he was the best. Is considered, in that conversation for the best. And it's, it was a long time ago.
Good celebration too.
Yeah, I was just happy. I remember sitting on the bench and waiting for my next shift, and I was still just kind of smiling because he scored your first goal. They all cheer, and I was just kind of staring in the crowd. Big Mike, Michel Therrien gave me a little kick
to get you back into it. That's funny. All right, you swipe through. Let's check out moment number 2. You can swipe again.
Okay.
You know what this is?
I think it's my first playoff goal. Plecky throws it across, right? Yeah. It's Mathot in front, and me and him, I took about 10 cross checks a shift from him every time we played. It was always fun battling him. But
You'll see it in the replay here.
That was when Lars got hit. We had the 5-minute power play. That was when Lars got hit, and that was an emotional series. I think that was one where Prusty was in the calling their coach. I think a fat walrus or something like that between games. It was emotional. It was fun. That was my first taste of NHL playoffs, and it lived up to it. Again, didn't have the hardest job. Plecky makes a good play.
This is where you can really see the cross check, like the lumber in your spine there.
Every shift I played against him in my career was like that.
Do you remember?
It's weird.
Do you remember being in the room before? Like, this isn't your first playoff game. It's obviously your first goal, but the playoffs in Montreal, was it like a whole other level? Especially
the way the old dressing room was. The locker room was it was closer to the rink, and you really heard the fans before the game.
Oh yeah.
So you were sitting in there, and there's a big hype and lead up, and you heard it before. It was special. That's just embarrassing, and I don't know where you found that and how. The internet remembers. You know what's crazy is I remember doing these. It was not a lot of money that I got.
How did they convince you to do it?
I was young, dumb, and they offered me a tiny bit of cash, and I said,
you must have heard about it. I'm sure you heard about it.
You know what's crazy about this is these pictures have not gotten around, and I've known about them, and I don't tell anybody, and I'm shocked you found them. But don't know what that jacket is. I'm sure they sold 0 of those.
Well, it's not waterproof at all. That's you can tell here.
Let's move on.
Perfect. Number 4.
Madame Béliveau. That was
that's the Béliveau trophy.
Yeah, it's the Béliveau. It's an honor to receive anything with that name on it, and I've had a few encounters with her, obviously, and special lady. She means a lot to the organization, and to receive that trophy, it means a lot. So that was
You still have, do you have like kind of community like memories of things you've done in the community over the years?
Well, we do so much. Like you remember it all, and that's kind of the stuff, especially playing in Montreal. When you're, it feels like it's heavier. It feels like it's more important than you are when you get to do that kind of stuff throughout the season. It just gives us so much perspective, and it helps us do our jobs a little bit better. But you're able to, especially get out in communities and put smiles on faces. It means a lot to us. The outdoor game. This was probably the most fun I've ever had playing hockey. I don't know how to explain what that was about, but I was just coming back from my injury.
That was the first time, right?
First real injury I've kind of had in my life, and
eye black too.
Yeah, it was
football mode.
Yeah, it was the atmosphere. It was a perfect day. It was cold the day before. It was kind of warm, so the ice was perfect. I had my mom and dad there. Just got back. My glove is about 10 pounds because the trainers really were worried.
What did they do to it?
Well, I don't know if you can even see it. The padding I had on there. I wear a lot of padding now, but it was about 3 times. Now you can't really see it there, but it was a heavy glove. But yeah, I was just happy to get back, and yeah, like I said, probably the happiest I've been playing hockey. This is the hat trick, first hat trick. Shazi, Domes, Webbs. Yeah, it's nice looking back at some of these teammates. Those are guys that I spent a lot of time with those guys. I played cards with Domes and Shazi, and we all kind of have similar personalities. So as you can imagine, we would have some fun with each other. Somebody was making fun of someone at all times.
It's like never a quiet day on the plane. Do you know what I remember from this game is you asked me after the game for one of the hats. So I had to make a request to get the hats brought to the office so we could give them to you. Every time there's a hat trick in this building, I come back to my office and there's a huge bag of hats now. So I just have like a collection in my office of all the hat trick hats because of you.
It's cool. I love that.
Yeah. What did you do with the hat?
I have it still.
Okay.
I have it still. You know what I remember about this game?
What?
It's the only time in my life I've slept through an alarm.
Oh no, were you late?
No, because Lecky drove with Lecky every day. He was pounding on my door before the game, and I heard it and woke up, but I sleep upstairs. And without Lecky, I don't even know if I would have been playing.
You would have never had a hat?
Yeah, so he gets the assist.
Well, speaking of which, there's a few pictures. You can scroll through these. These are like some of your besties over
So this was with Rosie. Rosie was a really good friend. This was us enjoying a day off in LA. Had some fun on the beach. We played some. There's Lecky there. We enjoyed those classes. Clearly, Halloween. Happy for Lex. He's doing really well now. Obviously, Georgie. Yeah, I still see him. I still see Georgie every summer.
Do you see him the most of all the guys who you're close with?
Probably. Yeah, I mean, I lived with him and Maggie for 2 years, and meant a lot to my career. So yeah, that's always I have that picture up in my house.
Do you?
So yeah, it's good to see Georgie.
This is a little video. This is from a compilation. Look at all these moments with Nate. This made me miss Nate and you guys.
We did do a lot of stuff together. He's always he's an idiot, but I miss having Bo around here. He was another guy I talked to quite a bit. So
when you see these, like you obviously had quite a few like best friends over the years. Is that kind of like are these your 4 that you were kind of closest with, or they're like? Yeah,
probably. I mean, you're close with everyone, you know, when you spend so much time together at the rink. But I mean, those were guys that away from the rink kind of hung out with a lot, and you get to see it here a little bit. You know, we shared a lot of laughs, shared a lot of smiles, and they were characters, but fun guys to be around for sure. Those World Championships. Anytime you get to put that jersey on, it's special. Our team was a really good team. I played with some of the best players in the league on that thing, and Pears was our captain, and McDavid, I think, scored the winning goal in the game. I mean, we had names on that team. It was a fun team to be a part of. I was in Russia, so it was kind of a different experience, and you spent a lot of time together. Yeah, it was. Anytime you get a chance to win, it was special. This is Emma. This is Emma, Skye, and Kelly. She's been a big part of my life here, obviously, and we got Skye, who is a bundle of joy for us, and
You're a dog dad now.
Yeah, I'm a dog dad.
Probably the biggest difference is you're now a parent.
Yeah, a dog, and I'm bring a smile to my life. So yeah, it was. She'll be happy she made the top 10 as well. And what do we got here?
You know what this is for sure.
This is Lecky's goal. The big day. I always bug him. I was open.
We still got the assist on it.
Yeah. Stole the moment. No, I was. This was. I just got a little bit of a chill actually, seeing Pricey like that.
It's actually a compilation. So we asked fans to submit their reactions to the goals too. So we kind of like added this together. Like you see how much that really that was such a moment in this city for you guys. Like obviously going to the finals and losing, it's not the way you want it to end. But like how special was that?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I don't know. I haven't watched this much just because of how it ended. No, it meant a lot to us as players. One of the coolest things about that whole COVID experience is after the games, whenever we would win these series, we just hung out here for 2-3 hours. You know, normally guys kind of go out and celebrate and all that. We couldn't go out. We couldn't leave the rink. People were celebrating. So they got us pizza and beer, and we just sat in the room and hung out. And that was an unbelievable feeling. I remember coming in and thinking, you know, you're going to the Stanley Cup final, and you got a shot at it. Obviously, the next couple of weeks didn't go as we wanted, but that run was special. A lot of teammates that I'm going to remember. This is funny to watch.
It's crazy the number of fans who have like recorded their own reactions. You see how important the team is, though. And you can see some of the outside revelry that was going on, especially coming out of COVID. That was such a big thing for the city and for the province. So
it was funny. You just see grown men's reaction, and you know we're supposed to be used to those kind of emotions and feelings that you feel, and we couldn't control ourselves. So it's this is what being a Montreal Canadian is all about, and they're everywhere around the world, really. It's good to see.
All right, so your nostalgia is now sufficiently cranked up.
Yeah, that was
You're
fun.
good. Okay, good.
That was a lot of fun.
Okay, good. We've got the memories going here. So I'm gonna keep you back in time. 2013, lockout just ended. You're 20. What do you remember from your rookie season?
The lockout ended. I wasn't all that sure what was going to happen when it ended. I remember we had just played a game in Rochester. We weren't a very good team, but what was nice about our American League team is we were all young guys. We all got a chance to play. So I, was playing all right. Got called in the coach's office when we bussed back to Hamilton at 2-3 in the morning. And Sylvain Lefebvre, he said to me, "You're going up for training camp." And he said, "I don't want to see you back." And I was still kind of pissed about the way the game ended. So I didn't even really, I kind of feel bad about him. I haven't seen him since. I didn't really say thank you or anything. I just kind of, we just lost a game. So left, got on. I remember there was about 4 or 5 of us that, we got to Montreal the next day, and training camp, it was lockout. So it lasted, 5 days. Maybe there wasn't really much of a chance, So I was just lucky that Burge and Michel Therrien, they wanted to give me a chance. I didn't get in the first game. I watched the game. We lost to Toronto that night. And then I remember at practice the next day, I wasn't in the lineup. I didn't know how they did it. I had a practice where in one drill I just did well. I remember it was like a battle drill, and guys were cheering and making me feel good. And next night I was in the lineup. I was playing with Prusty and Chucky, and I remember sitting, before the game, Chucky was laughing and keeping me loose, and he scored his first goal that game. And then from there, game after game, the next game was in Washington. You're playing Ovechkin. I think a couple of games later, I scored. Then you play Crosby, and it starts to get a little bit more real. You start to feel a little bit more like you belong. And then at a certain point, it was just like you're a part of the team, and you're doing what you need to do to win. You've had that same attitude since, but it didn't take long. I think at first I was probably in a little bit of awe. We're not really sure if I was going to stick around. But it didn't take long. I'd say about 6-7 games into it, you just started to feel like, okay, you're here now. Get better, listen to everyone around you, and try to enjoy it, and just take advantage of the opportunity.
Do they have? I remember seeing a video of Galchenyuk in the office with Michel and Mark, where they tell him you made the team, you're playing. Did you have a moment like that? Do you remember?
They called me in after. I went after him, which was nice because he came out smiling. And he was. They told him, like, go get Gally. They said we're going to tell him the same thing. And Chucky, man, Chucky, he comes out and he gives me like the biggest hug. He's like, we're staying.
He blew it.
I was like, oh, thanks. But he was happy. I mean, it's nice to be able to go through that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, every time, we would play against him or I'd see him, you still go see him and you tell those stories and being rookies together and feeling those same emotions. It's nice to have someone like that. And I still look at the rookies that we have here. You see how close they are because they share those moments together and they're feeling the same things and you can relate to them and think back. So it's nice to have. And the two of us had some fun.
Was that kind of the same time did they tell you that you were going to live with Josh or how did that come about?
Josh came to me a little bit afterwards. I think he actually went to Michel Therrien and said, I'm willing to do this. I actually don't know if Maggie was on board at the time because
he just comes home and tells Maggie, we're getting a roommate.
Because I know they were trying to have a kid. And they were, I don't think she was all that excited to have a 20-year-old kid she never met.
It's like a trial session.
Living with them. Yeah, I guess so. But yeah, it didn't take long. I got along with both of them. Obviously, Maggie treated me so well. They're friends. They're really good friends, and they're people that I can rely on. And I can't be. I'm very thankful that Josh kind of went out of his way to think about me and to understand that I needed help. I did need somebody to take me in and teach me a few things, and for Maggie for opening up their home and. It's hard for me to say I'd be where I am today without them, them stepping up and doing that for me. So it's something I'm really appreciative of.
Yeah, especially as a 20-year-old, you don't have to worry about anything at that point. They're kind of helping.
In the city of Montreal, it was I had to play hockey. I didn't have to worry about anything else that was going on, distractions, what I was going to eat, getting around the city, anything. It was taken care of, and then the rides to and from the rink. Georgie did a lot of the talking, but I did a lot of the learning. Yeah. And it was something that meant a lot to me.
What are some of the biggest things that you took? I mean, I know Josh was a huge part of it, so obviously he had a lot of advice, and I know he gave you some tips, and there was a lot of hockey talk there. You also had some strong leaders that you played with. Like, what's the best advice that you got from a guy?
Well, Georgie actually, the year I didn't make the team, the training camp before that, he kind of pulled me aside in training camp and kind of went back. We're, played in the Western League. He had a buddy coaching the Kelowna Rockets who I guess had told him a few things about me and said good things. So I think Georgie had an eye out. And he was just kind of watching me. He was watching me in battles down low. And he was, at that time, actually a smaller defenseman. He's not a smaller guy, but the way the game was, he was a smaller D-man. And he was like, when you're getting these battles, you're not going to be able to outstrength. You're not stronger than anyone. You're not going to be able to push guys off. You just have to position yourself well and understand. Think the game. Use your brain and think the game. And there's times to be aggressive, and there's times to I've always I appreciated that right away. And from there on, he always had little tips like that. It was whether it was how to prepare for a game or how to do all that. So, Georgie, he shared a lot of, I guess, wisdom. I hope he doesn't watch this interview. But he shared a lot with me. Gio was a guy that, similar frame, scored a lot of goals, played similar style, played the same position. The way he was able to find little pockets. And, I learned a lot watching him. But he was always there to talk to me, and not a lot. A lot of the stuff he said was encouraging. It was more continue to do that, continue to do that. But just watching him play the game, the way he thought the game, him and Plecky, they played together for a long time, and then getting the chance to play with Plecky. You pick up a lot of stuff when you play with those older guys early on, and I definitely used it as my career went on.
Those are actually a couple guys who had a lot of longevity in their careers, and they're similar to you in stature. Is that something that, as you've gotten older, have you kind of picked guys' brains about how to prepare differently, or has there been any evolution that you've specifically done?
Well, I think everyone's doing more and more the time you go. I mean, playing with a guy when Corey Perry was here, the way he took care of his body, he was at the rink. He basically never left. He was the first one there, last one to leave, and that was what Paris was all about. And he plays hard. He puts his body in tough spots, and he's. You look at him, it's not like he's the strongest guy, but he just takes care of his body. He knows what it takes to be a pro. He knows what it takes to get ready to compete every game. And in terms of bringing it every game, he was another teammate that I look back and I'm happy I got a chance to play with.
Have you evolved how you've prepared? Like, is your off season different now? Is your recovery during the season? Like, are you taking options a bit more?
Yeah, I mean, I've had to be smarter. Obviously, my off season is the same. I think in general, you push yourself and you try to do. I think during the season, there's been times where, you have to understand what your body needs, and sometimes that's a rest and recovery day. Sometimes after a game, you have to get in the gym and get a lift in. You're a little bit smarter about it. I think when you're younger, you're naive, and even getting ready for games.
You feel so good the next
Gio
day.
used to laugh at me because all I used to do, I'd go play soccer the whole time. I'd just come in and I'd be running around, and Gio would be stretching for 45 minutes, and he would laugh. He goes, "It'll come, kid." Now I get to the rink, I'm there 45 minutes earlier than I ever was before. There's just more to do, and as you get older, I think you have to take care of yourself a little bit better.
You see that with guys like Cole, or is that like seeing yourself back in time?
I think when the young guys come up now, I think they're a little bit different than I was. I think there's so much being talked to them at a younger age about all that stuff. I think they have a little bit better idea. And not that I didn't. I think I was just naive to the fact that I was going to need it at some point. I was told. I was told many times, but I was a little stubborn.
Yeah, you don't listen. You got to learn some lessons for yourself.
I said, I feel good. I'll just keep doing this. And then there's a time where
I don't feel good.
Start doing all this other stuff.
Your nutrition. I do remember being in Tsawwassen with you, watching you cook eggs. Has your nutrition evolved also? Like, I remember you saying your chicken and pasta, you're like still consistent from...
Well, having Emma helps. I think she's a little bit better of a cook. A little bit more variety in my life. So I think I still eat the same amounts. It's just a little bit better.
A little tweak here or there. All right, fair enough. I showed you some videos, some photos of some of the guys that you were really close with over the years. So you've got like Jacob De La Rose, Lehkonen. There's a lot of guys that like Nate, for example. Is there, we always talk about when a guy gets traded, he has to pick up his stuff and move to another team, and like, how does that go with the new team and how is he adapting? But, you've been here 10 years, so you've seen a lot of teammates come and go. What is the personal side of when guys get traded? Like, you just have like you're making dinner every night with the same guy and now you're like cooking solo. Like, how do you adapt to it?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a shock. I think a lot of times you kind of see it coming. Mentally you can kind of prepare yourself for situations like that. But yeah, it's different because you're just not going to see them as much. You're still friends. You still talk all the time. You have your group chats, and you have your group chats. You have everything that you're going to talk about before. You're just not going to see each other from day to day. So you go out of your way to kind of follow what they're doing. And you watch them and you support them, and you just know they're going to be a good friend. And that's kind of what this game's all about. It's building those relationships. And, you showed a few of those clips from on the ice, but it's more the off-ice stuff that you remember as you go along here, and the teammates that you had, the memories that you share. And yeah, it's special to look back on and have those ones that kind of mean a little bit more.
Is there one guy, if you had to pick one guy that you wish had never been traded, who would it be? One guy I wish had never been traded. Probably Georgie, I think, just because, at the time he was traded, I know how much it meant to him to be a Montreal Canadian. I know how proud he was. I mean, he was so proud he said no to the Toronto Maple Leafs, which I think is... It's amazing, actually. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing. And he went to Buffalo, and it just was never the same for him. So it was, I would have liked to play with Georgie a little bit more. Fair enough. You also had a lot of guys, you've played with a lot of characters. I was going through the rosters in the last 10 years, and like you said, when you look through the rosters in the room, you're like, oh yeah, I forgot about that guy. You played with, I think, Eric Cole, Perros, you had Shawzy, there's Colby Armstrong. You had a lot of funny guys. Like, who was the funniest, the most fun guy that you played with? Army. And as a young guy, did he ever have fun with me? But he was, I was the butt of a lot of his jokes. I feel like you still are. I get along with Army really well. I still talk to Army. I saw him a couple years ago, actually, at a charity event, and he's the same guy. He's a kid in a man's body. He's taking care of kids. He's raising kids as a dad, but he's still a kid at heart, and energetic, funny to be around, and he's very witty. He finds a way to make the room, light. Light is the right word. Is there a guy like that? Like, I was trying to think of the current roster. Like, I named a few of the guys who clearly were I don't want to say like the class clown, but kind of like in the room, you knew that if you were feeling pressure or whatever, they were going to lighten the load a little bit. Do you guys have someone like that now? It might be Cole. Honestly, he's young, but I think and it's more so him. He takes a lot, but he's loud. He's energetic.
he draws people to him.
He's having fun.
Yeah,
you can tell how
he's
much
having
he's
fun,
yeah.
and you know, it shows in our group. I think you know, we feed off Cole. He's an energetic kid. He's going to be an exciting, you know, for this team to watch for a really long time here. So it's been fun to see him grow, and he's got a long way to go.
Well, it's funny when you talk about the young guys now, and you see like the young guys are scoring a lot of goals. They're also taking up kind of those roles. Has the culture shifted a bit? Like I know that you had an older group when you started, so you had a lot of veterans, so you were kind of like young. There was a big difference. Have you noticed a difference in the culture? It
was a little bit different, I guess. You know, it was me and Chucky, and then there weren't really any other younger guys. You know, Nate came, and yeah, it was a little bit different, but I think times are changing a little bit, but in terms of the way the locker room is, it's the same. You know, everyone has everyone's respect. Everyone is a key part of that team. And when you're sitting in that locker room, you're expected to do your job. You're expected to, you know, to be who you are. Yeah. And, you know, you're not trying to go outside yourself, and, you know, everyone's respected in there. And, yeah, the locker room is, it's kind of our safe place. We take care of that and make sure everyone's feeling good and happy and having fun. And when you do that, it usually leads to success on the ice.
You've had a lot of coaches too. So you talked locker room a little bit. You've had, I think, 4. You had Michel, Claude, Dominique, Ducharme, and now Martin St. Louis. How have they, like, have you learned something specific from each of them? Was there different phases of your career that you can really think of, like those coaches who like brought something specific to your game?
I think for me, they all came at good times in my career. Michel Therrien was the perfect coach for me as a rookie. I think he was early on. I talked about playing Ovechkin and Crosby, and he made sure that I wasn't on the ice in situations where I was going to be in trouble. Okay. He protected me. And then as the season went on, you know, you start to earn the coach's trust. He puts you in positions where, okay, can he handle this? Can he handle this? And you earn more responsibility from him. It was never given. You had to earn it. But once you earned it, he wasn't shy to put you in those positions. Yeah. And I learned a lot from him. It was there was no gray areas. He understood you as what got you going. Every once in a while, you had to hear from him. But it was, I had a lot of respect for him. And I think I learned a lot about preparing for games and being a pro. I remember one time I enjoyed the sun a little bit too much down there in Florida. Called me before the game, and I had a sunburn. And I thought it was going to be a jokey meeting. It wasn't a joke.
For being outside?
Yeah, I had a sunburn on my face, and he said, "Did you prepare? Did you get ready?" And the answer was no. I was really sunburned. Yeah. It was from the day before, and I was sitting out there, and it's kind of weird. I was like, "Oh yeah, I guess it doesn't look good." So you learn little things like that as a young guy to take care of yourself. And yeah, it seems silly, but it's important.
Part of the package,
you spend the day in the sun, you're not going to have the energy that you normally have. So it was little things like that along the way. But at the same time, on the ice, when I was able to earn opportunity, and he gave it to me, and he gave me every chance to succeed. And really smart mind. He knew how to push those buttons. And then Claude came in. Our team was kind of dipping at the time, and he kind of picked our confidence back up. And for me, he put me in a position. I remember I played a lot with Plecky, and then I played a lot with Phil. I kind of learned playing with that type of centerman was really beneficial for my game. I was put on the ice against some of the best players in the world.
It's got to help you defensively too.
Yeah, and then me, Phil, and Tuna became a really effective line in terms of controlling the game, and we enjoyed that challenge. And that was kind of given to us by Claude, and we had to earn that as well. And then when Dom came in, obviously it was a short stint, but getting the chance to go to a Stanley Cup final, that was he took our team again. We were at a low point. He took us to a point where we were able to get it back, and that run and that experience is something that, as a hockey player, you're never going to forget. You hope to get back there and earn that chance again. But yeah, that run and those teammates are something I'll never forget. And then with Marty, he's just someone that he was my favorite player growing up. Yeah. And then I played against him, and I saw how competitive he was. And then getting the chance to learn under him now, he just has so many ideas and thinks the game so differently that opens up little areas in your brain, and you're able to think about, and they all make a ton of sense. But until you hear them from him, you don't really think about them. So it's, I'm looking forward to continuing to learn. I think I've learned a lot already. And in terms of the way he lets us go, as he wants us to think the game. And if you think the game, and he wants you to kind of be creative and understand for an older player, it's nice. It's a little bit of a change, and it's a little bit interesting. And like I said, I'm continuing to grow, which is exciting.
It's funny when you watch him in practice, and I know the media's talked about this a lot, about how he works specifically with individual guys. Like, does he bring skill elements to your game? Is he teaching you things? Obviously, he was an amazing player too, and similar in size too. Like, do you learn anything even in terms of like that, or managing how you play?
I think it's more just more so teaching your brain, the way you think the game and the way you understand the game. I think it's, you know, your skill set is kind of what it is. You can work on it, you can sharpen, you know, you can get a little bit better, but for the most part, it is what it is at this point. I think he's working on the way that you think the game, and little areas where you can maybe see a situation differently and find yourself in a better spot to either defend or score or get the puck or challenge a guy or open up ice for your teammate. Just little things throughout the game that, you know, like I said, they open up little different ways to think the game, which is exciting.
That's fun, yeah. I mean, so you have the coaching staff, obviously, but you only had one general manager for a long time in your career, and I've been with the Canadiens, I think, 15 years. So if you've been in a job for a long time, you get comfortable with your coworkers, you get comfortable with your boss, they know what to expect from you, kind of know what's expected. Is it hard when someone new comes in? Like, obviously you've established yourself, you and Mark were very comfortable, like, he knew exactly what he was going to get, you knew what to expect from him. Did you feel like you were like starting from scratch, or did you you're coming from a point, you're a leader on the team, you've got a letter, like, was it a new fresh start, or was it more like, I'm starting over, like, now I have to make a new impression?
It wasn't that. Because I knew Gortz was coming over from New York, who we had seen a lot about.
Yeah.
We played them a lot, a couple playoff series, and they had, you know, Jeff and Kent had a really good idea of what I am as a player. Yeah. You know, they understood what I am in the locker room and all that. And you know, they've been so good at, you know, communication, talking, you know, whether it's joking around in here from time to time or serious talks and just, you know, picking your brain. It's been early, but I got a really good relationship with them already. I mean, I have a really good relationship with Burge still. I know he's doing really well. And, you know, like you said, he meant a lot to my career and gave me my first opportunity. And his passion and the way he respected us, you know, it meant a lot to us as players. And I'm really thankful for everything that he gave us and everything he gave me. And then, you know, you open those new relationships now with Jeff and Kent, and you're trying to build the same thing. And like I said, there's a lot of respect both ways, and the way that they treat us as players. You know, they've given us everything that we could possibly ask for, and you just hope you start rewarding with some wins, and we get back to doing some of those fun things that we watched earlier.
How does it work? Like, how much of a dialogue do you guys have in this? Could have been with Mark or with them, but, you know, the older you get, the more kind of say you get, the more people want to pick your brain a little bit about how things go in the room, or what as players you'd like to see. Like, do you have more of a role in terms of, you know, what you'd like to see, or how you'd like the culture to evolve, or, you know, rules and guidelines that you're setting for each other?
Well, they have questions and they have stuff that they want to know. I think for the most part, it's they have a general idea, but they're not in the locker room, and there's things that, you know, maybe they have a question about, or they know the answer and they just want to hear it and be reinforced. And there's little things, and a lot of it is just, you know, having that dialogue back and forth. For this to get to where we want to be, I think everyone has to be on the same page, from you know, the players to Jeff Molson. I think there's obviously a lot of steps along the way, but there's dialogue, and everyone has to be on the same page, and everyone has to be working towards the same thing and feeling the same way, and believing in the plan, and that comes from communication, and that communication between us, you know, the leadership group, obviously, to the coaches and management from time to time is really important with every team.
You've been an assistant captain for a long time. It was 2013, I think. You were young.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure when
you were
it
young.
started.
I just remember I watched the interviews.
Yeah,
you were young.
I was young.
Has your role evolved, even though like the letter's the same, but has your role kind of evolved?
Yeah, I mean, I've learned more, and you feel more comfortable in different situations, and you understand more. I think you know, experience is something you can't teach. You just have to go through it as a player, and different situations. You know, we've been through some really good years here, some tough years here, but that's not something that you can, and even going through it doesn't mean you have an understanding of it. It just means you've dealt with it before, and you maybe have the answer. You maybe can help in certain situations. So you see some young players come, and yeah, I'm comfortable talking to some of these guys and helping them out and making that learning curve a little bit smoother, just like guys were for me. And you want to be in that situation where you're helping guys and putting this organization in a good place to succeed.
You talk about how you're helping the young guys. You obviously had quite a few great veterans. Are you conscious of it? Are you going out specifically looking for, like, not looking for ways to help them, but like more aware of it maybe? Is it more intentional for you?
I think you're just trying to be yourself. I think, you know, you think about it and you see a guy in a situation, but I think that's just who you are. And I walk around every day here. You know, I joke around, I have fun, and then there's a time to be serious as well. And all that is part of, you know, just being true to who I am. And you know, you hope your teammates respect that. And every day you're still trying to earn your teammates' respect. And you know, if you do say something to someone, you know, hopefully they listen. Hopefully they take that advice. And but in the end, it's their choice, and you just try to be there to help them as much as you can. Would you have one of them come live with you like you did with Josh? If Emma's open to it.
Yeah, you're not going to pull a Josh and just bring someone home?
No, Josh he's a little bit crazier than I am, but yeah, no, I'd be happy to do that. I think you know, our setup right now probably isn't the biggest place. We'd have to move into a bigger house, but if that ever happened, I'd be happy to do that. I think she'd really enjoy that as well.
A lot can change in 10 years. I think people change quite a bit, especially from your 20s to your 30s, now that you're in your 30s. How do you think you've changed the most in the last 10 years?
How have I changed the most? That's hard. That's hard because I think in a way, I'm still the 20-year-old kid that's just kind of smiling all the time and happy to be here. But at the same time, I think I've really grown, and not that I didn't know before, but I've really grown to understand what being a Montreal Canadian is and how much it means to so many people here. And being a part of that, you understand how special it is as a player. So I think you appreciate it a little bit more. You know, those special nights and those special moments that you hear, that you feel you know, it brings a little bit bigger smile to your face, and you look back and they're special moments, and you understand that you're doing something that a lot of people play in the National Hockey League. Not everyone gets to play for the Montreal Canadiens, so it's a really special experience, and you just try to enjoy it as much as you can.
Do those kind of like realizing what it means, does that come from, you know, I think you were here after Jean Béliveau passed, I believe, right? And we obviously had the Guy Lafleur night recently. Does that kind of put that in perspective? Is it just something that you just sort of like absorb?
No, it's definitely moments like that. I mean, I remember when Jean Béliveau passed away, we were in Minnesota that night, and Michel Therrien gave us a pregame speech, and it just didn't really resonate. It was okay, but you know, we're playing a game to win. And I remember we didn't play very well. We took some heat. And I remember kind of thinking as a young kid, you know, like we tried. You know, we tried to win the game. I don't understand why. And then we came back. And we had a few days off, and there was the funeral. And you kind of saw around the city how important he was to everyone, how the stories that came out, and people were in tears and the emotions. And then it really started to hit me as a player. And then we went to the funeral, and then we played the game the next night against Vancouver. And I can honestly say I've never felt more pressure as a hockey player to win a hockey game in my life. I remember when Plekanec scored late in that game, 5 minutes to go to go up 2-1. It was a relief because at that point it was like, we have to do this. We have to do this. Yeah, it was and it's little things like that. It was the same thing with the Guy Lafleur tribute. The more time you spend here, you just understand, you know, yeah, we're hockey players, but the impact that you're able to have on people's lives is more than you realize at times. And then these players are at an iconic level where, you know, they almost mean as much as anything to people, and the emotions that they bring out, because, you know, maybe they used to watch with their dad or maybe their mom, and, you know, they're not around anymore. And it brings back those positive memories. And, you know, those are little stories that when you get the chance to hear and how important that they were, it means a lot to us as players, and to be able to hopefully honor them the best we can, you know, is a special feeling as well.
It's funny too, like you see when Carey came back, and he obviously wasn't playing it at the home opener, but you got that long ovation. Like for you guys, does that also resonate for you? You see a current player and like what you can mean to the city. It's not just these guys that won 10 cups.
Well, it means a lot to us. Specifically, you know, Price being a friend, I was just really happy for him. That, you know, it was one of those things where, yeah, I felt he really deserved it. He, you know, probably wasn't sure at times. You know, he went through a career here where, you know, at times he thought he was going to be out of here early on. You know, things weren't going well. They make a big trade to basically put everything, invest everything, and he went through every type of pressure that you can go through, especially being a goalie for this city, and then to play the way he did, to have the seasons that he did, and the career that he did. I just thought he really deserved that moment. And then watching him and seeing him get a little bit emotional was, you know, you can see how important it was to him as well. And and what those fans mean to him as well. So it was yeah, that's another moment that when you look back, it was special.
So last thing here, I'll get you to reflect a little bit. You're 30 now, been here 10 years. If you could go back and picture little baby Brendan as a rookie, what advice would you give yourself? What would you like to tell little Brendan?
What would I tell myself? I was always emotional. I yelled at the refs too much.
That maybe would make things easier for you now. Eh?
Now is okay, but it took 4 or 5 years of smoothing over those relationships, because back then, the refs were a little bit older too, and they had the attitude that they needed to teach young guys a lesson. And I don't think I was wrong. I think I was right, but I could have handled the situation wrong, or could have handled the situation better. Sorry, and it was. It took some time for me to smooth over those relationships. I think it's pretty good now. There's still few guys that I got to work on, but it was. I'm getting there. I'm trying to learn.
10 years in the making.
I made it tough on myself. I did.
All right. Well, thank you. I guess let's do the same time, same place, 10 years from now.
Sounds good.
All right.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Brendan.